Hello, BookTube. I'm drinking some pig's ear. This is from the Woodstock Inn in Woodstock, Vermont, right up the road from me. And I went out today. It's a brown ale. Yeah, you can see it right there. Very good, very good. And I went out today and I got some books. I haven't been doing much of that. Mainly because, of course, I had that trip down to Boston and to the Brattle. Scott Danielson, Jason Harrigan, and Steve Donahue, my wife and myself. So a pretty good day there. My wife has had a new office built for her in the house by her company that she works for. So I lost a little bit of book space. Got rid of some books, not many, but enough that it wasn't time for me to be grabbing some books. But today, I had to go out and been very busy at work, but did get a chance to get some books. But before that, I'm going to catch up on my reading a little bit. I finished A Morbid Taste for Bones, Brother Cadfael mystery. A couple weeks ago, I think it was. I think it might have been after my last video, and I'm reading those, the first two of those, and that's the first one with Brandy at Booklectic. Currently, I'm reading two books. This one was a big deal. What year would this have been? I don't want to lose my page. I'm actually using the dust jacket, sort of. 1994. This is The Unredeemed Captive, a family story from early America by John Damos. This is really fantastic. This is a story about, well, it starts in, Quebec, also in Massachusetts. The French have a guy they want to get, English call a pirate, the French call a privateer. He's been imprisoned by the British, and the French in North America want him back badly. They plan a raid with the local tribes, Abenaki, Algonquin, the Iroquois Confederacy. They get a bunch of these folks together, and Vermont, where I live, was a land route. Very high mountains, small tight valleys, very wooded, hard terrain, some rivers, and then of course on the eastern side of Vermont is Connecticut River that goes all the way down through Massachusetts and Connecticut. It's the border between Vermont and New Hampshire. So that's sort of the route, and the easiest way to travel. And then they natives have some trails they use through the mountains to get up to Quebec. So a group of those natives, quite a large group, a couple hundred, and some French officers descend down through that route because they want to get a hostage. And it's Reverend Williams, who has a lineage in New England that Puritans and all that. So they attack Deerfield. They do tremendous damage, killed unbelievable number of people, and took these Reverend and his family and a bunch of other folks captive. It's pretty hard reading because there's a tendency to, the Reverend's wife had just had a child, a week or two before, and she was too slow, so they tomahawked her to the noggin, and they did that with a lot of the children too on the way up. So that's a little hard to read because they can't be slowed down; they're going to be pursued. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying this is what happened in the times were what they were. And then this book follows that. So behind my house here in Vermont is a thing called Hawks Mountain, right in my yard, and it rises it up. And that was actually part of the trail to take captives, English captives, to outside of Montreal and up into Quebec. So very interesting. This book is very well known. It was a big seller, very beautifully done. There's a point on the Williams River in Vermont where the Reverend is allowed to perform a ceremony, a religious ceremony. Excuse me. And I grew up on the Williams River, not far from where that happened. So it's very interesting to me. A wonderful story. The details aren't always wonderful. I mean, it can be pretty brutal. It was a tough time, I guess, like all times. But, yeah. The other thing I'm reading is really interesting. This is the Dictionary People. And this is by Sarah Ogilvie. It's about the Oxford English Dictionary. We've had very good books about the Oxford English Dictionary, and Murray, the guy who headed it, among others, and all that. This one, and Tolkien, and all these people. This one focuses a little different. It's the people who sent in the little slips, and being the definitions and all this. I'm finding this to be a really good book. It's Dictionary People, the Unsung Heroes who created the Oxford English Dictionary. It's Sarah Ogilvie, so you get some really incredible characters. And one from right up the road from me, who is very important character. So, yeah, I'm on page 188 on that. So that's what I've been reading. So a little bit of violence and a little bit of dictionary. But the books I went to get, the first one here, let me show you. Excuse me, I'm having a voice problem here, probably from smoking that pipe and drinking that beer, right? This is Civilization in the Middle Ages, of the Middle Ages, by Norman F. Cantor, completely revised and expanded edition of medieval history. This book I have read, and I don't have, and it's a very important book. It was a really big deal in its day. This is a paper copy instead of a hardbound. I had the hardbound for years. I have no idea what I did with it. I will revisit this, maybe not in its entirety, but I'm glad to have it. So yeah, this is the first of the books that I picked up today. All these books are $1. I just go to the Listen charity shop in West Leb. I think it's West Leb. Yeah, West Lebanon, New Hampshire. You're going to have to hear me clearing my throat all day. I don't know what the heck's going on. This next one, I've got almost all the ones in this series. It's a series I love. They're by Thomas Cahill. Some of you will remember him as the guy who wrote How the Irish Saved Civilization, which sold like hotcakes. It was an incredible bestseller. This one is Mysteries of the Middle Ages, The Rise of Feminism, Science and Art from the Cults of Catholic Europe. These things are beautifully produced, and the later they're produced, the better they get. So his introductory volume was How the Irish Saved Civilization. The Making of the Ancient World, 3 volumes were The Gifts of the Jews, Desire of the Everlasting Hills, and Sailing the Wine Dark Sea. All wonderful. And then there's this Mystery of the Middle Ages, which I didn't have a copy of. And then I also have the Renaissance volume, which this one doesn't mention because this is, and these are called the Hinges of History. You can see that there. Boy, this is really bad. I'm clearing my throat so much. These are Nan Talese books from Doubleday. I actually have a business card from Nan Talese. I've got years ago. Give you an idea of the quality. These things are beautiful. They're general histories. Oh, here, this is nice. It's a map. For a rounded narrative history of sort of swaths of time, which can be nice. They're not specialist histories, obviously. These things can be wonderful. Let me find a page where we really have the footnotes. The side notes is what they are, really. Here's a page that has some that show you the extent of them. So you have a little narrative as a side note instead of a footnote. They'd be great fun. And like I said, I'm glad to find it. I have not read this. I've read almost all of them. And I'm going to actually pull them out of the places on my history shelves and actually put them together. The later ones tend to be a little taller, a little more substantial, because, like I say, these things sold. The next one. This is a historian of ancient history that I've always enjoyed. He's a popularizer. He was a real scholar, but he had a way with words. I have no idea how many books he wrote. He wrote bushels of them. And I've never read one that I didn't enjoy. And this is Michael Grant. And this particular one, it's got one of these Mylar covers. This is Constantine the Great, the man in his times. Let's see if we can do it. See, I got getting the picture here reflected from the phone as I record on the Mylar. There's a list of his books at the time of this book. So who knows how many the final tally was. And then they're about ancient history. This is Charles Scribner's son, New York. And yeah, it's the first edition, 1993. So a little later than some of the other ones. Always these great little collections of photos bundled together in the midst of the book. So Constantine, we know, is the one who established Christianity as the state religion, or the imperial religion for the Romans. And it's one I haven't read. I've read a lot of his other ones, but a lot of them has been so long that I'd actually go back and reread them anyway. This next one, Robert Lacey, is Great Tales from English History. I have never seen this before. One of these little, and I got these. It must all be the same guy or woman or teenager, who I have no idea who it was, but these are Bailey Coy books, 414 Broadway East, Seattle, Washington. These bookmarks are in half these books, and like I say, somebody must have just donated them all. What we say here? When did this come out? Little Brown and Company out of New York and Boston, 2003. From ancient times to present day, the story of England has been laced with drama, intrigue, courage, and passion. A rich and vibrant narrative of heroes and villains, kings and rebels, artists and highwaymen, bishops and scientists. Yeah, a nice little short thing. We'll see. We'll give it a shot. This next one I have never seen. Was really excited to find. And have great hopes for it. So let me tell you what happened. When I got there was one other book that's not here that I was just psyched. And it was David Cordingly. A lot of you'll know him as a historian of pirates. He also did a history called The Billy Ruffian, which was about a British warship in the Age of Sail during Nelson's time. He's done a lot of great nautical stuff. And I found, and I have a big collection of books about Cochrane, who is the inspiration, the fighting captain who fought in frigates for the British. I have a lot of biographies of him, but Cordingly's is the one I've always wanted, and I found it today. Unfortunately, when I went to open up, I was sitting in the car waiting to pick up my son from his work, and you know that old book smell? It's called mold. And I opened it up, and the thing was just ruined. I had to throw it away in the gas station area because I'm not going to let it in my house. I've got other books. So disappointed. So that was the downside of this whole trip, right? But here, this is one I don't know about, and it looks like just my cup of tea. It's called Into the Silence, The Great War, Mallory, and the Conquest of Everest by Wade Davis. Beautiful thing. If any of you know about it, drop me a note in the comments and tell me what you thought. I've got great hopes for this thing. Wade Davis has written a lot. I don't know if I know him or not. There's some of his books. If you want to see them, just hit pause. This is Alfred A. Knopf, New York, and Toronto, 2011. And this is the second printing, so that's a good sign, right? So the Conquest of Everest. I always love these types of things. So, yeah, I've got great hopes for this. Great hopes. Then another one that I thought was sort of cool. The only thing I don't like about it has this British paper. I'm just not a fan of this. The cover's fine. This is about Richard Lionheart and his ne'er-do-well brother John. But I always find that with these British books, you get this, I don't know if you can even see on there, you get this weird yellowing to the paper. And the paper has a funky feel. But we'll see. Hopefully it'll hold up. I don't know if you can see there just how yellow it gets. This is DeCapo Press, a member of Perseus Book Group. And this actually is 2007. It says it's, printed in the United States of America. It doesn't feel like it to me at all. Just doesn't. It's not an American feeling book. So I don't know how that worked. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I apologize. Not very much. Another thing I find very odd about it, so I'm excited about the book. I like to read about the Crusades and all this, but look at the insets on the paragraphs. They're really, really short. I'm going to put it right by my finger. So it's text heavy, which is a good thing. Got maps. But I'm going to have to be honest with you, it really feels like a British book to me, even though it says it's printed in the USA. The author is British. His name's Frank McLynn. He seems to have a pretty good resume here. There's some of his books. So if any of the British, well, anybody, I don't care, British or not British, says published in the United Kingdom as Lionheart and Lackland, King Richard, King John, and the Wars of Conquest. I just can't imagine this thing. So it says it's reprinted by arrangement with Jonathan Cape. And yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like an American production. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So we'll see. But I'm excited about the book. Richard Lionheart especially, but we all think of I think of Robin Hood when I think of all this stuff. And evil King John and all that. But who knows? Maybe I'll learn some stuff here, right? And then finally, the last one, this I didn't know about. I don't know how I didn't know about. So this is the American story, Conversations with Master Historians. And David Rubenstein, this is him here, famous philanthropist. Yeah, pretty excited about this. So let me tell you, we got Jack D. Warren Jr. on George Washington, David McCullough on John Adams, John Meacham on Thomas Jefferson, Ron Chernow on Alexander Hamilton, of course, Walter Isaacson on Benjamin Franklin. Some of you remember he did the book on Steve Jobs. Cokie Roberts on Founding Mothers, which I read. Doris Kearns Goodwin on Abraham Lincoln. A. Scott Berg on Charles Lindbergh. Jay Wink on Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Gene Edward Smith on Dwight D. Eisenhower, Richard Reeves on John F. Kennedy, Taylor Branch on Martin Luther King Jr. and the Civil Rights Movement, Robert Caro on Lyndon B. Johnson, of course, Bob Woodward on Richard Nixon and the Executive Power. Now, I looked at this, and it has a list of every book he's done up until this last one. What was it, War? The one that's causing all the controversy now. And then H.W. Brands on Ronald Reagan. The funny one, the last one, funny in a sad way, is Chief Justice John G. Robert Jr.'s on the U.S. Supreme Court. I haven't got much use for that fella, but I'm sure he'll have a bit of propaganda to put up. So anyway, and then Carla Hayden, the 14th Librarian of Congress, does the introduction. A good list. I like these sort of things. You'll see if I can show you here. They're done in an interview format, so each person speaking. I'm fine with that. A little introductory piece in front of each one. David Rubenstein, of course, is famous for his philanthropy, which he's won the Carnegie Medal for, and MoMA's David Rockefeller Award. He's was the chairman of the board of trustees, John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, the Smithsonian Institution, and the Council on Foreign Relations. Is quite a guy. Glad to have this. I'll probably start with the McCullough, Meacham on Jefferson, and Chernow on Alexander Hamilton. I've never finished the Robert Caro, Lyndon Johnson biographies. I think I've read a couple, but I probably need to get back to those sometime. So it was a pretty good day. Yeah, it was nice to have a day off on a Saturday. I don't normally do that. I had some events that I was half thinking about going to, but I just decided, hey, I'm going to hang out with the family. My mom's down here now. I went and got her in Maine last weekend, and she'll stay with us for a while. It was nice. I was driving up from Vermont through New Hampshire to Maine to pick her up and help close down her camp that she has up there. And when I got into New Hampshire and went through the White... And now Vermont was beautiful with the leaves and all that. The foliage season, of course, is gorgeous. But I got into the White Mountains, and I got... And it looks similar there. It's very pretty. Mountainous, and the trees are all changing. But I came around a corner in Mount Washington, which has some people say the most extreme weather on the planet. And you can look that up on the internet and figure all that out. Was covered in snow. It was just so beautiful. So to my neighbors in New Hampshire, thank you for that very much. What a pretty drive that is. So Route 93 up through that section. You go into Jefferson, New Hampshire and all that. Just a gorgeous place. One of the prettiest places I've been to, and I've been to a lot of places. So anyhow, to my friends in New Hampshire and everywhere, thank you very much, and see you soon, BookTube.